Paul Rogers, the CEO of Software Inc., walked into his office and slumped down into his chair. As he sat down, he threw his pad of paper on the desk with disgust. His life was a complete mess. It was 7:30 at night, and the executive team had just finished another long, bickering session. Instead of each executive taking responsibility for his or her department, they were all dictating solutions for all the other departments. After several years of 20% growth per year, everything was falling apart. Revenues had flattened, expenses were up, profits had dropped to zero, and the executive team members were at each other's throats. Paul was agitated, demoralized, and just plain tired. Regardless of what Paul tried, they argued, fought, competed, and protected their turfs. To add to his work aggravation, Paul had been informed by his doctor that he had high blood pressure and high cholesterol, which required medication. His feeble attempts to balance his family needs while keeping the company afloat were a constant source of extreme stress and total frustration. Not knowing what to do with his team, his family, his wife, or himself left Paul feeling dejected and inadequate. His wife kept asking for vacation, but all he could think about was keeping his company from going under. So what will Paul do? I'm Dr. Gary, making good bosses into great leaders with compassion, accountability. And if you want to know the rest of the story, you're going to have to get my book, A CEO's Journey, The 7 Steps of Intentional Leadership. You can get it for free on my website. The 7 Steps of Intentional Leadership is an approach for people at all levels to either check or develop their leadership capabilities. This week is all about learning the 7 steps in brief. To start, I want to do a quick introduction. Here's the 7-step model. Step 1 is purpose. Step 2 is choice. Step 3 is strengths. Step 4, organize. And you can see that the first 4 steps have in the middle of the circle the self. This is self-development because leadership comes from the inside out. So you have to develop these 4 steps before you can go on to organizing your team, building relationships, developing management and leadership capabilities and competencies, and executing. Those are the 7 steps of intentional leadership. I'm going to take time over the next week taking pieces of each of these and sharing them with you. We're going to do a poll as we go through the week, and I'm going to ask you, what would you prefer to hear about next week? And I will prepare some videos specially for you on LinkedIn that will cover one of the components of the 7 steps of intentional leadership. Send me the link in comments, and I will provide for you the link to download the free book, A CEO's Journey, The 7 Steps of Intentional Leadership, so that you can find out what Paul did to get his life back together. I'm Dr. Gary, making good bosses into great leaders with compassionate accountability. Take care and be well.